Let's speak to my next guest. He knows all about this, Marco Annunziata. He's chief economist at UniCredit Group. Thank you so much for coming here to speak to us. So, what do you think of those comments, though, by George Soros? Is that kind of stinging criticism of Germany justified? They risk plunging Europe into a deflationary spiral?
No, I think these concerns are widely exaggerated, and German bashing is very popular. I think Germany is making a correct point in saying that we have a debt crisis on our hands in Europe, so fiscal austerity is demanded by the markets. It is a necessary precondition for growth. And the austerity measures that Germany is putting in place are actually quite mild, quite moderate. I see no risk of a double dip in Europe.
It's interesting because now we seem to be seeing an increasing debate taking place with divisions between countries on austerity versus growth and to what extent cutbacks limit growth. But many European countries didn't really have much of a choice in this, did they? I mean, fiscal tightening became almost unavoidable for many Eurozone countries, given the pressure from the markets.
Yes, and there is something else to keep in mind. Over the last 10 years, most Eurozone countries have gone through a tremendous expansion in public spending, and now it is time to roll it back. Now, there is an extensive academic literature which shows that if you cut your budget deficit by cutting expenditure, you can actually help growth, not diminish it.
But then there is the other side of the coin, the argument that we're hearing on the part of the US that, well, economic recovery is simply too fragile to start making cutbacks.
But again, in most countries, especially in the large countries, with the possible exception of the UK, now we're talking about very moderate cutbacks. That is the case in Germany, in Italy, and in France. Now, from the US perspective, I understand their concern, but their concern is more on the global imbalances front, because the point they are making implicitly is if Europe cuts back on spending, the euro is weakening, growth is going to be driven by exports in Europe, which means the global economy becomes more dependent on US consumers, which means that global imbalances will widen again. And then, that is a valid concern. So
the US is justified in being concerned about stimulus measures being removed too quickly?
I think they are justified in being worried that austerity might go overboard. But what I'm saying is that what we're seeing so far gives no concrete reason to worry that too much is being done on fiscal consolidation.
The Fed has also signaled that Europe's debt crisis may harm American growth. How serious is the fallout from Europe going to be for the US?
I think given what we're seeing today on the growth front, I think the fallout on the US is going to be minimal. We have looked at the austerity measures. We see no reason to revise our growth forecast for Europe dramatically. If I were US policymakers, frankly, I would be much more worried about the potential repercussions of a financial crisis in Europe, which is what we might eventually get if we don't have a fiscal consolidation which reassures the market. A financial crisis, and we were close to it early in May, would be disruptive on a global basis. I think that would be the main concern.
There still seem to be ongoing concerns about the state of the European banking industry. Speaking of fiscal consolidation, do you see any concrete steps, moves being taken to try and foster some sort of fiscal union as well as a monetary union, very briefly?
No, absolutely not. I think we are very far from it. There is no political commitment to greater fiscal union.